Today, what I wanted to do was talk about a guy who could be seen as the biggest key for the Edmonton Oilers. This was actually posted onto the Our Oilers subreddit. I thought it was a great conversation, so I wanted to bring this here onto the channel. Today, we're heading over to the Edmonton Oilers, and we are talking about Skinner. And no, we're not going over Stuart Skinner, the goalie that was the main starter for the team, who had taken over after the entire downfall of Jack Campbell, and who had proven himself as a, do I want to say Stanley Cup caliber goaltender? I don't know. He was a part of a Stanley Cup caliber team. You can make with that what you will. But today's video instead is going over to the other Skinner, who was acquired in free agency by the Edmonton Oilers, Jeff Skinner. Because when it comes to the newest free agent signee for Edmonton, he's one of these guys that I think has that potential of being one of the biggest and one of the most impactful adds this offseason. Now, let's go over to the Reddit post which prompted this video discussion. It's all coming to us from Stream Genie on our Edmonton Oilers. They went out there and asked this: is Jeff Skinner the key to the cup for the Oilers? I predict he's going to be a man possessed on Draisaitl's wing and put in 37 goals with 28 assists for 65 points. Fun fact, this man has never lost a playoff game. Are Oilers fans as hyped for Skinner to finally get a shot in the playoffs as I am? And then included is a really beautiful graphic of this sort of retro 80s style video game layout with Jeff Skinner pixelated in a 2D pixel art style. There is a key and then there's a prediction. It's a very beautiful graphic here, posted by Genie Hockey. But ultimately, I wanted to get into a discussion as to the predictions, as to the numbers and everything in between when it comes to Jeff Skinner, because this is a guy who's definitely had his heyday at the NHL level. But as the post went out there and said, this guy has never been a playoff performer because, quite literally, since making his NHL debut in 2010-2011, he has never played in the playoffs. Once. 7 years with the Carolina Hurricanes, and then an even longer 6 years with the Buffalo Sabres. Yeah, I said even longer. It felt longer for Skinner in Buffalo, but the guy has never made the playoffs once in his NHL career. He'll most likely change that as the Oilers continue on into 2025 with Skinner in the lineup. But if you take a look at his overall production, he had his best season as an NHL player in 2022-2023, scoring 35 goals and 47 assists for 82 points in 79 games. This was a huge revival of his career because just a few years prior in 2020-2021, Skinner only had 14 points in 53 games played. And at this point, he was making all this money. Everybody was saying that he was super expensive and that he was one of these guys that really tore down the cap structure of the Buffalo Sabres. He was making $9 million a year, only producing that amount of points in that amount of games. It was really bad. But Jeff Skinner, with a little bit more of a role and a little bit more confidence within him, was able to post up that 35-goal, 82-point season, and he never looked back from there. Until 2023-2024, you see, Skinner went from 82 points in 79 games to 46 points in 74 games played. Only 24 goals in this previous season, which actually isn't that bad of a downgrade when you consider the total point production downgrade. I mean, from 82 points to 46 points is a huge step down, but 35 goals to 24 goals isn't as big of a step down. You could definitely attribute that to the Buffalo Sabres and most players on the team just kind of declining. I mean, taking a look at 22-23 when Skinner had that point-per-game season, Tage Thompson had 94 points, Alex Tuch had 79, Rasmus Dahlin had 73, Cousins 68. The season after, though, everybody declined, and Jeff Skinner was just part of the collateral damage there, only scoring 46 points in 74 games. Now, we recognize, of course, that a lot of players on the Sabres are going to be better this upcoming season, but for Skinner, the writing was on the wall. The guy got bought out. He was a free agent, and he had signed in Edmonton for a very, very cheap $3 million a year. And if Skinner is able to take his natural goal-scoring potential, plant it alongside of a playmaker like Leon Draisaitl, and just do what it is that he does best, I would not really be surprised if Skinner posted up another 30-goal year, if he posted up 60, 65 points. I definitely don't think that the Reddit post and the prediction there is unreasonable. In fact, I think it's more so likely here. But this could be an absolutely huge top 6 ad for the Edmonton Oilers when you consider that there already is McDavid and Hyman on that top line doing all the damage that they could do. There seriously is reason to believe that with the state of the NHL, where goals are becoming a lot more common, with this Oilers power play that is just so absolutely stacked, and with the addition of a guy like Jeff Skinner, this Oilers team could literally be one of the best offensive teams we have seen in the NHL ever by the time 2024-2025 begins. I mean, think about it like this. Zach Hyman is a 50-goal potential caliber guy. Connor McDavid can score 40 goals in his sleep, 60 goals if he tries. Leon Draisaitl is a lock for pretty much 40-50. And then Jeff Skinner could get 30 on top of that. Not to mention the Nuge, Evan Bouchard, a lot of other guys that could go out there and produce continuously too. I mean, there isn't really anything stopping the Oilers aside from hard defense. Sure, you can outscore your problems, but what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable wall like the Florida Panthers defense core? That's ultimately the question here, and I'd say that when it comes to the Oilers, I mean, there's a lot of debate in the comment section of this Reddit post saying, hey, I mean, the Oilers were literally a goal and a save away from winning the Stanley Cup this previous year. A guy like Jeff Skinner isn't really going to be the key, quote-unquote. But I did still think it was more of a conversation to be brought up because it's like, hey, if you are one goal away from winning the Stanley Cup, how many extra goals does a guy like Jeff Skinner give you in a full season's worth of play? Heading into next year, I mean, it wouldn't be irrational to say that Jeff Skinner and his potential 30 goals would be enough to maybe win an extra 2 or 3 games on a year, right? Is that unreasonable to go out there and say? All you needed was one goal, one more game, one more save to potentially win Lord Stanley's Grail. And of course, that's all encompassing the huge comeback that the Oilers were able to pull off in the 24 finals anyway. But still, an addition like this in Jeff Skinner cannot be understated when you consider the talent, when you consider the profile, and when you consider the dollar amount. $3 million a year for Jeff Skinner, who is a potential 60-point guy, who was an 82-point guy literally just a year ago. There's a lot of hype here for Skinner, and rightfully so. I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the acquisition? What are your predictions as to how much he is going to be able to produce next season? And what do you think the power play looks like as well? The power play this previous year was so good already, but if you wanted to add on another right-handed guy, have Hyman as the net front, have Bouchard on the point, McDavid, Draisaitl doing their thing, and then Skinner as the 1T on the left side, is that the best case scenario in your opinion for building this Oilers power play into next season and beyond? We'd already seen a lot of success with the current structure, having the Nuge over there doing his thing. Of course, that's a formula that you could go to if you wanted to keep things the same, but for Jeff Skinner, is his talent more utilized on the first unit or on the second unit? You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as well as your predictions for points. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.